Today marks 760th day of day lessons, day reflections, and today we will review and reflect on one more standard, and that's its integrity. It's a beautiful standard to live by, and I already discussed it. When we really move from standards, I used to believe that if you move from a lower standard to a higher standard, you forget about previous standard. But it is not how it works. You need to know all the standards before. Those are the foundation. So it means if you want to really build four-floor building, you don't demolish the third floor to build fourth. No, you build all those floors to really build above and beyond. And that's how it's with standards because you need to keep the foundations of those standards to really move forward. And before moving forward, we need to really review those first three floors. And that is that first, self interest is what's good for me specifically. Number two, fairness, what's good for both of us. Number three, responsibility. What's mine to do? And I will finally be able to look into fourth floor, and that is that what is right? And will I do it even when it costs me more? I mean, that's the beauty thing. What is the right to do? No matter what the cost, but if it's the right thing to do, that means I will do it. Not every person is willing to do it. So it's my responsibility. Okay, I will do it. But if it's my responsibility, it costs me, I will not do it. That's incredible when a person is willing to do the right thing, no matter if there's a reward or not. So now let's review and reflect. Number one, make your character more important than your circumstances. And this is the beautiful thing. Because sometimes people say like, oh, I felt a certain way and then I acted a certain way. I had some circumstances because there are circumstances I responded a certain way. And I think that's not how it's supposed to be. Of course, when you are a low standard, you will do that because of fairness standard, because you did it wrong, I will do it wrong. And I think that when you have integrity, you start to really do not what you feel, but this what is the right thing to do. And that is determined a lot of times by your character. Character, what is that backbone in your character? Because I think that's the beautiful thing when you say that I did that because my character is represented in this action. So when you ask okay, like what this action represents in me, what it represents, and somebody say like this action represents that I am controlled by my feelings. I that represents that I am controlled by my circumstances. If a storm comes in, that means my default mode comes in, and my default mode is negative. And when storm comes in for a person who has character, it chooses to do the right thing no matter what. Number two, do the right thing when nobody's watching. That is part of integrity. It's interesting because at some point, people will see. But we need to understand that if nobody sees, and probably no one will see 90% of the time, but it builds character. And you know to yourself that you made a promise and keep to yourself that promise. But again, this is again, keep the agreement, return the money, admit the mistake. And it's beautiful thing that even about the admitting the mistake is that when you have integrity, admitting a mistake might be extremely difficult because you might lose some kind of credibility, and a person will be extremely disappointed in you. But it's very short term. And interesting thing because trust is extremely difficult to build. Trust is extremely difficult to build. And when you make a mistake and you admit and you improve and get better because of it, and you show by your actions that you improve, got better, and you communicated immediately that something went wrong, that's build trust. Because if you do not admit a mistake, that destroys trust, destroys integrity, destroys character, and it's something that's a beautiful thing. When we're able to really admit the mistake, even sometimes when nobody sees, and might be because there's temptation that nobody knows who made this mistake, but I will admit anyway. Number three, make your private life match your public life. How you act with your family, with your friends, with your work, with yourself, it's supposed to be exactly the same way because interesting thing because that if you have different masks, and now you need to protect that image, protect that mask to your friends, to your family, to yourself. how much energy you need to really work on protecting that mask. But if you remove the mask, and that energy could be allocated to developing yourself, the true authentic self. I'm guilty of this as well. Like I'm not any different. I know that I developed something as the mask and the perfect individual who knows exactly what's going on. But when you really let it go, when you really start going through the things that you actually need to go, because sometimes the mask is further ahead in the illusion. And because of that, we don't know exactly what kind of gap we need to work on right now. So our public life is supposed to really match the private life. So that means when you are able to be exactly the same person in every single individual, able to adjust communication style because people, when you're a leader, you're able to really adjust based on the person that you're speaking to because some people want different kind of communication, but that is not changing who you are. Just it's just adjusting small things of communication. Number four, tell yourself the truth. That's part of integrity because it's easy to really to think that integrity is all about others, telling the truth to others. But the beautiful thing is that true integrity is telling the truth to yourself. Because those are the what I'm actually feeling, what I'm actually afraid of, what I'm making excuse, what I'm pretending not to do, not to know. Because when you pretending not to know, you're not able to do anything about it. Oh, I don't know what to do, so I will procrastinate. And I think this is beautiful when you are truly honest. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of something. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of failure. And because of this, I procrastinate and I pretend not to know. And that's part of integrity. Number five, stop negotiating with your principles. And that's part of integrity when you know exactly what are your values, principles, character traits that you know that is non-negotiable, that you're not able to negotiate with them. Because there are some things that is preferences that you're able to really adjust and then communicate it, you're able to be more flexible. But what are the preferences that the principles that you live by? And that's his integrity when you have those non-negotiables, boundaries that you're not able to cross and you're able to do. That's part of an integrity because people know how to act when they know exactly what are the boundaries. Because soccer, everyone knows that where the ball's supposed to go because there's boundaries. Basketball is the same. So people play in that game. And I think that's a beautiful thing when you have integrity, you have those boundaries and people know exactly how to communicate and how to not to communicate to be in the game. Number six, keep your word but don't make stupid promises. This is the beautiful thing. Don't make stupid promises because some people are extremely good in keeping the word, but because they made stupid promises, now it's almost impossible to keep the promise because you're just not able to be at the same time in two places, and you could commit and promise to two people that you will be at the same time. That's impossible. That is stupid. So it means you keep the promise to one person and you break to other one. So we need to make sure that we don't blindly accept everything. We need to really respond. And like when someone asks me to do, oh, I really would love to do that. I'll reflect on that today and will respond after, because otherwise I know that sometimes it feels that you really would love to do that, but still being able to really respond rather than blindly making those. And sometimes you made a promise that you will do something in a month or two, and circumstances change. And you need to communicate as early as possible that things are changing. And that's a part of integrity. Number seven, admit when you are wrong. And this is probably one of the stronger ones for integrity because when you admit that I was wrong, that shows integrity. That shows that you're doing what is right because sometimes it's extremely difficult to admit that you are wrong. Partly is that fairness that someone really did something wrong and because of that now it's almost seems much more legit comparing yourself to other people. But if you remove other person and you don't compare to another person that circumstance, what is your action would say? And if you don't remove all other things, you start to realize that your action was wrong. In a vacuum, your action is wrong, and that means we need to have integrity to accept that our action, that's a maturity, accept that our action was wrong in the vacuum, not excuse, making excuse from other perspectives. And that's a beautiful early level. Like when you look into your action in the vacuum, not looking to any other things, you say, is it right or wrong? And you say, no, it's not right. So that means I was wrong. Number 8, don't use your pain as permission to become worse. Said I was hurt, and because of that, I got permission to hurt you. I was hurt, and I got my permission to hurt you. And this is again part of admitting that you were wrong. And we're not supposed to allow our emotions to really change our behavior. And this is part of integrity. When you really say, like, what is the right to do? And sometimes when you really look at what your emotion wants to do, is that right? Is that right? And you realize it's not right. I'm guilty of that 1000%. And I think that is a beautiful thing when I'm able to reflect on that, because now I realize there is a lot of moments when I needed to ask that, is this right? And sometimes it's not. Number 9, have boundaries without becoming cruel. And this is interesting. Having boundaries without becoming cruel. And that's a part of integrity, because people need to understand that you will say no. You will say that this is not how you're supposed to speak with me. And that's part of integrity, because you're saying that this is how is right way, and this is how is not the right way. Because when you are not explaining and not giving expectations, people do not able to really do the right thing. And sometimes you can really feel grudge regarding other people, because the most important part is that you didn't communicate well. So integrity is doing the right thing and communicate early what is right and what is wrong. And that's again, but we need to become, of course, and be respectful because of that. Number 10, choose truth over image. And that's a beautiful thing, because when I think about truth over image, is that sometimes when you admit that you did it wrong, temporary embarrassment really is better than permanent self betrayal. Because even asking a question that you do not know is the right thing to do. It feels embarrassing, but is the right thing to do. And because it's the right thing to do, you are not afraid to be embarrassed by asking stupid question and do it anyway. Number 11, do not weaponize morality. Because you say, I'm the honest one, I'm responsible, I am principled one, and because of that, we actually living according of claim and believe that we are making the right choice. And this is again, we need to reflect. Do we really do that? And I think that's not supposed to allow us to really believe that we're actually right, even we are not. Number 12 is choose the long-term vision of yourself. This is a beautiful thing, integrity, when you're actually able to decide, okay, who I'm becoming. And then it's much easier to act the right way, because you say, okay, this is who I want to be. And because of that, of course, you say, what is right for this future vision, who I'm becoming? Because sometimes we're able to say, I don't know what is integrity, because I just do not know who I'm becoming and who I am. And because you don't know who you are, what is right for you, sometimes is much harder to do. So sometimes if you want to have integrity in your life, first thing to do is just understand who you want to be and who you are becoming. So what is the dark side of integrity? And first thing is that we need to understand that integrity is not being rigid. You can change your mind, and that's a beautiful thing. And the most important part is communicate that early. It's not being perfect. You will screw up. Part of integrity. So that means integrity is not perfection. Never disappointing anyone. That means sometimes you will do the right thing will disappoint a lot of people. Because sometimes if you want to be liked, it will not work. Integrity is a beautiful thing, because you ask what is the right thing to do. It doesn't ask if it disappoints people or not. It's ask what is the right thing to do. That is a measurement of the action. Because if you measure based on likeness of not disappointing, that might be not the right thing to do. Always telling people everything. Always doesn't require wilding privacy. Bringing, being brutally honest. Truth without wisdom can become cruelty. And that's again, knowing when to say, what to say, why to say it is extremely important. And that's the right thing to do. Never compromising. Some things are preferences, some are principles. And we don't compromise on principles, we compromise on preferences. And that's the beautiful thing. Being morally superior, that's ego wearing a suit. We need to understand that. So ultimate test is that when doing the right thing benefits you, it's very easy. When doing the right thing is fair, is still relatively easy. When doing the right thing costs you, now we're getting somewhere. When doing the right thing means admitting your work, you're wrong, that's hard. And when doing the right thing means nobody will ever know, very hard. And when doing the right thing means the other person may never appreciate, that is true integrity. So I hope you reflect on this what we went over, and I think that tomorrow will be a great day because we'll go even beyond that. So I hope you choose to win and see you tomorrow.